Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Small Talk. I'm very pleased today to introduce my guest, who I believe I saw at the art crawl in Hope this summer. So as she is a rug hooker, or just a hooker, for those of you who enjoy stuff like that, Janice Roy Wismath. Welcome to the show, Janice.
Thank you, Nancy. Fun to be here.
So tell me about the hooking rugs. When did you get involved in doing that?
Well, I just started at the beginning of the pandemic. Like everyone else, I was sitting around. I closed down my little family daycare and I sat there for a month and did nothing, listened to the radio. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do something. And I had always known since I was a little girl that I was going to do rug hooking, because when I was little, I went to my great-grandmother's farm in Nova Scotia and saw all her rugs on her floor. Right. And I thought, I'm going to do that someday. And that someday just took about 50 years. But now I'm doing it and oh my gosh, I'm addicted. I can't stop.
No, is that the kind of hooking that you use with like a latch hook?
No, that's a little different. Oh, I should have brought my hook up, but I didn't. Yeah, it's just the hook, and it's usually felt like wool that's been felted. So wool that's been washed in hot water, right. And that's, the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do with wool. And that makes it go sort of fuzzy and thick. And then you cut it. I have my great-grandmother's cutter as well, which I should have brought that up too, which is, over 100 years old, doesn't even have a patent on it. Wow. Yeah. And so it cuts it into really, really fine, like there's different sizes, but like a millimeter, maybe a little more than, maybe it's 4 millimeters, and you can do them larger. And then you just have a piece of burlap, which is what they used back then, right? Because of burlap bags that your flour, sugar, everything came in, and not wanting to waste and having no money, that was the only kind of thing they could do for art. Yeah. And so they took what they have, they cut up old clothing that, could not be made into anything else anymore, cut the strips, and started doing art with it.
They were so inventive and creative, weren't they?
Weren't they? I mean, they did art with what they had, which was next to nothing, which gives me goosebumps today, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to be part of the art crawl?
Well, just an invitation, really. I was in Hope for 14 years. I've just moved to Kamloops, so I'm not there presently, but I have connections there to stay connected. And just the invitation. And I thought, oh my gosh, because after 2 years of the pandemic, I actually had quite a lot of rug hooking. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm running out of walls here. Because today rugs don't only go on the floor. People put them on walls. Yes. People are usually scratching their head trying to think of other things to make beyond just rugs and artwork for the walls. So some people are making bags and purses and
a purse. Now that was really interesting.
Yeah, I've seen some online. If you go online and just look up rug hooking, you'll see some really interesting stuff. Wow. Mostly North American, but some of it even goes over into Europe. Right. Yeah, it's kind of a North American thing though, largely, and British, I think.
Okay. Now, for the rug hooking, do you use a pattern? Like, do you make is that what's behind you? Is that a hooking behind you? That
is a hooking that I did, which is Boundary Bay looking at Burnaby, Vancouver.
Oh, okay.
And I was down at the beach, and I don't know why, but I was possessed by this thought that I have to hook this. And so I sat there at the beach drawing the mountains. Okay. So the mountains are somewhat accurate. The perspective's a bit strange, but it's a sunset, and you can see the Alex Fraser Bridge, which was near where we lived. And yeah, I couldn't stop. I was possessed to finish that rug, and now it's on a wall, not on a floor.
And one thing I've learned about artwork, whatever kind it is, it does not have to be exactly like a picture.
Right.
Right. So that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And then there's a little whale tail in there, which
Okay, I can see that.
It shouldn't be there, but that was because, do you remember the whale that ended up beached down there a few years back? So that was because of that. I put the whale tail in.
Right. Now, you said you're moving to Kamloops?
Yeah.
So if they have an art crawl there, would you enter or join in again?
I would. It was a really interesting experience. I have not figured that out yet. I don't know anything yet about Kamloops. I'm new to it, so I'm just learning. And yeah, but I'll definitely be back. Apparently, they're going to make the Hope Art Crawl an annual thing, and we were in Hope for 14 years, raised our kids there, so it's a big piece of us now.
Well, very good. Yeah. Yeah. Because I went to it and it was just, wow. What I liked is like, maybe I showed up where you were and maybe there's a couple others close by, and yeah, you couldn't really walk around to all of the different artists, but you could certainly drive from one spot to another and see groups. And it was really wonderful. And I was talking to Sabine, who I believe organized it.
Yes.
And she was saying the turnout was really, really wonderful.
Yeah, I think it was really fun. And there are so many artists in Hope. We've got the carvers, we've got the painters, we've got the potters. I think I'm the only rug hooker, or I was. But yeah, it's a very artistic community, and I think this is going to let it all come out.
Yes. And what a good, sorry, I didn't interrupt you. But I was just going to say, what a good thing to be doing after COVID, like when you finally can get out there and see people, right?
Yeah, and everyone drives through Hope at some point in their lives in this province.
And it's a tourist spot.
It really is. It's an incredible spot. I remember, I'm not even from BC, I'm from Ontario, and I remember the first time I drove through it to taking my kids to Camp Squia, thinking, oh my gosh, this must be the most beautiful place in the world. Yeah. Never imagining that I was going to live there. Never.
Yeah, I'm the same. Like I'm from back east, so I'm the same,
Oh.
Yeah, I was born in New Brunswick, grew up in Quebec and lived in Ontario, the whole bit, right? So it was quite an experience to come out west and to be in the Fraser Valley, and just
is there
about it is so different from growing up back east.
Yeah, it's extraordinary. And now I'm in Kamloops, and it's a different kind of extraordinary, right? I've never lived in a semi-desert before. It's extraordinary. I think it's going to affect my rug hooking, actually.
So now tell me about some of your other rugs that you've hooked. Like, what kind of designs do you make?
Well, sometimes I'm possessed, like that one behind me, and I just draw it and do it. And like you can buy online and in little rug hooking shops around North America, designs that are already there for you. I'm not as drawn to them. There might be the odd one that I find. My daughter, luckily, is an artist. So when I have something that I can't draw, I say, sweetie, will you draw this for me? And she does, which is so fabulous. And I've kind of done a lot of things. I've got one right here that is just, well, shall I show you? It's called Feeling Groovy. Okay, excuse my body there. So this is Feeling Groovy. Let me see, am I showing it to you?
Partly. Oh, I see the shells.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that was her design. And sometimes I'm just playing with color because it's kind of the texture and the color that draws me. And so that kind of branched me out into, just because I was playing with color, I thought, oh, I want a design here. So I just started using the alphabet, but it doesn't have to be looked at as an A or a G or whatever. You just turn it around and then it looks like something different. And it's been interesting. Yeah.
I was just thinking, isn't it wonderful to start something later on in life, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've just got my half a foot into retirement, sort of half retired here. And yeah, I mean, I figure, geez, I could have 30 years here of doing this. So who knows where I'll go with it.
So do you mind what I asked, what you're retiring from?
Oh, I'm a social worker by training. I worked for the Ministry of Children and Families. That's how I ended up in this province. Let's see, I got hired in 1996, I believe, and they moved me out here. And I worked there for a good 15 years. Then we moved to Hope, and I was raising kids and worked a little bit at the Transition Society in Hope.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had a friend up the street who needed daycare, and I love kids. And she launched me into opening up my own family daycare. And so that's what I've done the last 5 years.
Very good. Yeah.
And I loved it.
Is your husband an artist?
No, he's an engineer.
You know, it's interesting because I had his name for somewhere. Well, I had both of you, but I had his name, and I thought, what does he do? I couldn't remember the connection, you know, right? And then as soon as when I sent the email and it shows both of your names, I thought, oh yes, Hope. Just all of a sudden it dawned on me, because if I don't write it down somewhere, you know, I do so many interviews or make so many contacts, I forget who I'm supposed to talk to.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah. We're one of probably the very few people on the face of the earth that don't each have our own email. We started out 30 years ago in Halifax with a dial-up email. We still have that same email and we share it. I don't know why, but we do.
Well, why not? It works for you, so why not, right?
Well, the bank doesn't like it. They're very insistent on it. So each having our own email. Yeah, very strange. But anyway.
It's not business.
Well, and I mean, anyone could make up an email. So yeah, there's no security in that. But anyways, it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. So when it comes to your artwork, what are your future ideas or plans?
Well, I sold my first piece in the Hope Art Crawl, and that was my goal, was to sell one piece.
Nice.
And a teenager bought a little picture of a cow, and that just made my day. And it made her day too. She walked away hugging it, so that was very cool.
Oh wow. That is.
But what I'm thinking is, you know, I wouldn't mind doing people have an idea and they either draw it and I'll hook it for them, or they have a photograph and I could get my daughter to draw it and then hook it for them. So I'm kind of thinking that would be kind of fun to do commissions for people.
Mm.
It's not cheap because like there's so many hours that go into hooking a piece.
Yes.
And so it would have to be something that people really wanted a memory of. I also love doing buildings. So I for instance, I hooked a rug size of our house in Delta where my kids also grew up. So things like that are either cottages or homes or, you know, memories for people is quite fun to do. Yeah.
So what is the smallest rug you've hooked?
Oh, probably I mean, you could do it as small as, I have a friend that asked me to do a teeny one for her little miniature dollhouse. So I have to get around to that. But probably the smallest I've done are 6 by 6, I guess. That's when I was sort of playing with color.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the largest one you've done?
Probably the one behind me is one of the largest. I have another one about the same size. Yeah, downstairs.
Okay. So now if you were hooking for the floor,
yeah,
that would be larger, wouldn't it?
It could be, yeah. I am limited to what I can. I have a frame, so I am limited to that frame, which is about the size of a desk.
Okay.
I haven't measured it, but it's probably 6 feet. It's my guess.
Right. Well,
So,
that would be a good size.
yeah, there's no way. There's no, like, burlap is so flimsy. There's no way to then sew pieces together. It would just deteriorate.
Mm.
But I do have my great grandmother's actual floor mats, and they are more than 100 years old, and they are still usable and intact. You can see wear,
Right.
but they're still there and they were used. So it's incredibly strong.
Yeah.
As long as you don't piece it together. Not like a quilt, you can't piece it together.
Okay. Yeah. You know, I was just thinking about like we all had those sacks when we were growing up, you know, right? My generation anyway.
Yeah.
We used them for everything. Once my mother was finished with whatever was in them,
Yes.
we used to go picking hazelnuts, which, by the way, BC people, hazelnuts in New Brunswick are the size of your little baby finger.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah, and you pick them off the tree with the peeling still on it. It's so different than coming out here and waiting for them to fall on the ground and picking them up. And these huge, gigantic things, it's like hazelnuts on steroids.
Oh, I know, but they were largely wiped out, weren't they, with a disease?
Yeah.
A decade ago. Yeah, in everything, they're all but gone.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So now, okay, let's get back to, where do you get your wool from?
Oh, well, I am buying a lot of it online. So it's wool from around the world. And sometimes it's dyed for you. Sometimes it's the few websites that got me going on it was Deanne Fitzpatrick, who is in Nova Scotia. And she is a well-known artist in the Maritimes. She's in the Nova Scotia Art Gallery, and she's in other art galleries. I don't know all the names. I think she's in the one in Ottawa as well.
Very good, yeah.
So she's quite well known. She has a Facebook and a website, and during the pandemic, she was doing a show about half an hour every Thursday, and that kind of got me in a group of people and feeling like I wasn't as isolated as I was, and I loved it.
Nice.
I didn't necessarily hook while I was watching it, but I'd get my cup of tea and sit there and watch her hook. And then there's also Martina Lazar, who's in Ontario, and she has a lovely website. There's rug hooking guilds across Canada. So that's a good way to enter into it if you're looking to get involved. And sometimes they'll sell just a kit, so it's all packaged up, even with the hook in it.
Right.
And so you could order one of those online. Everybody's online these days, right?
Yes, for sure. Speaking of that, now, if somebody wanted to commission a piece from you, what would be the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Oh, probably through my email. I have not got a website, but it's just Wismath, WISMATH @telus.net.
All right.
Husband will see it and I will see it.
Are you on Facebook at all?
I am on Facebook, yeah, just under Janice Roy Wismath, ROY-WISMATH. Yeah.
Because I thought Dave was on there, so I sent my friend request, but I never heard back. So I'll send.
Oh, he's not on there. That's one place he is not. Yes.
Well, there's somebody with the same name.
Oh, is there? Oh, because it's a very unusual German name. Oh,
there was no information though. There's no picture, no, hardly any information. But so I will friend you, because for me, it's a really good way to keep in contact with somebody. Is through Messenger on Facebook.
It is. It's simple. I think our generation likes Facebook. I think that the young people have long left it behind, but that's okay.
They're lost, whatever. So anyway, we're going to end it there, but I want you to stay on camera, okay? So everybody, thank you for watching the show. I've been speaking with Janice Roy Wismath. I'm sorry, Wismath, who is a hook rugger or just a hooker. We share that in common. No, I'm just kidding about that. Take care, everybody. And remember to be nice, because that doesn't cost you a thing. And peace out, everyone.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's the place to be, you'll see.